Welcome to Tech Talk Live, a resource produced by Vision Forward. Low vision and blindness technology, tips, tricks, and information presented in a way that makes sense. And now, here are your hosts, Corey and Luke.
Good day, fine ladies and gentlemen of the internet.
Yes?
My name is Luke, and I'm here to bring you the legendary Tech Talk Live.
It is legendary.
It is legendary among our 30 to 40 regular listeners.
In like 100 years, kids will be in school. They will talk about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And then they will talk about two men who ran Tech Talk Live. Yes, who ran Tech Talk Live. And even though there wasn't, what was King Arthur's sword?
Yeah,
Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
So the Excalibur, there was the...
We are the Excalibur of assistive technology.
I was going to say something more like the X-averageable.
That was an odd start to the show.
And you would think we plan these intros. Absolutely no plan whatsoever.
I don't think anybody thinks that we plan these intros. Hope everybody is having a lovely day today. We are back. It is Thursday, of course. If it wasn't Thursday, we wouldn't be here. So,
and neither would you.
Yeah, so here's a little tip for you. If you're ever seeing us live, it must be Thursday.
Ooh, you just now boxed us into only doing live on Thursdays.
Yeah,
what if we wanted to expand our empire?
That is true.
You think King Arthur only had the round table on Tuesdays?
Right, so, welcome to Tech Talk Live. What was I talking about? I can't even remember.
We were just welcoming everybody.
Yes,
hoping your weather is better than our weather here. It's freezing in Milwaukee still.
Touch on the cold side, especially for this time of year. So I hope you all have beautiful sunshine wherever you are. And also, I hope that you are having just the most excellent day that you have ever had. Myself and Corey are having quite a lovely day so far, so we've got no complaints.
I would love people, our background, which we might be blocking some of it, but we're not going to say what it is or why we chose it, but I'd love for people to throw in the chat maybe why you think we chose the background we did, or maybe what it's even from if you know.
Yeah, extra points if you know what it's from.
And remember, you can also use the chat not just for telling us about our background or putting jokes in, which are I'm assuming jokes maybe even starting to come already.
We have many jokes by the looks of it already.
Good. But you can also use the chat for any questions throughout our session
But
today.
my question is why put sensible questions in the chat when you can put jokes?
That's very true.
You know, so if you have a sensible question, think of a way that you can pose it in a joke format instead.
What did the computer...
Good luck. So thank you to Lynn, who was she was just on the keyboard, ready for action, because she has already identified that indeed we have a reference to Spinal Tap behind us.
Why do we is the question.
Well, I feel like you've just made it, added a whole other layer on here.
Well, the question was what is it, but why did we choose the background that we did? So it is a reference to Spinal Tap.
Why do we have a Spinal Tap reference? Very good question. Also, if anybody knows how to dispose of cats in a humane way, I would love to know, because my cat woke me up at 5 o'clock this morning. Now, to some of you, you might be thinking, I get up at 5 o'clock every day. More power to you. But I am not a 5 o'clock in the morning person. I'm more of a 6:40 in the morning kind of person.
Besides going right to disposal, is there other, when you say humane, how about just getting up with the cat? Is that an option?
Well, I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock, though.
Telling your wife, or closing the door?
I think telling my wife is probably a lost cause.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, that probably is a good way to do it. Anybody else have cat problems? Lynn comes in with another great suggestion.
I got 99 pounds, but a cat ain't one.
Lynn has a brilliant suggestion. Spray your cat with water.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Lynn.
That is pretty good. But now, at 5 in the morning, your aim's going to be bad. You're going to hit your wife with a squirt gun. She's going to be mad. Or you're going to spray your clothes.
Well, no, that'll be good, because that will teach my wife not to wake me up at 5 in the morning as well. So,
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I get
tips. So if I appear slightly odd today, well, that's my excuse. I've been woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day this week. Charles says, give the cat to your mother-in-law. Another good suggestion. I appreciate that one.
All right.
Thank you. Now, unfortunately, my mother-in-law is in England, so I would have to fly the cat over, which would be a little expensive, but probably worth it.
At 5 in the morning, I'd have no problem.
Yeah.
Get right
Lynn
in that
says,
check.
my cat is at the point that all I have to do is reach for the spray bottle. Yeah, this is your classic Pavlovian conditioning,
It
you
is.
see.
You think it will only work with dogs, but no, cats too.
Any animals or people.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. If there's anybody in your life who's annoying you, the next time they carry out the annoying action, all you got to do is reach for the spray bottle, and it should curb the problem. Now it might take a few tries.
It might make your workday a little weird when you're spraying your coworkers.
Yeah, but
you've annoyed me.
if you have ever sprayed a coworker, then please let us know in the chat. Corey, how have you been? No, let's just see how you've been first.
I've been quite well. Quite well.
Good. Well, that's the end of that. That was a great.
I don't
great
know that I
story
have.
for
I
us.
mean,
Corey, you were just telling me a very exciting story just yesterday
about what?
About a pool which basically is not as big as a regular pool, but it creates waves so you can swim in place, and it's heated.
Yes, our last house we had a pool. We put a pool in, then we moved. New house, no pool. Kids want a pool. Tried to put a pool in, but we have buried power lines that go right across our yard. There's nothing we can do. So now we have purchased a swim spa, which is, they come in different sizes, but it's like 8 feet by 15 feet.
Yep.
There's hot tub type seats and then a big place to swim, but then there's big jets in the front that create current so you can just swim in place. You can canoe, kayak, you can tube in it, and it's heated, yeah.
This is what we call living the dream.
It is called doing what your family wants and figuring out how to pay for it another time. That's what it's called in my life.
When I was young, I often went to a sports center that had a pool and they had a wave machine, which is kind of similar to what we're talking about here.
My wife and kids love wave pools.
Me
They're
too.
absolute favorite.
Yeah, fantastic. Anybody else have a wave pool in their garden? Please let us know in the chat. Yes.
Let us know.
Lynn has correctly identified. Yes, Lynn, our speaker does go up to 11 because today we are talking about Windows 11.
There you go.
Hence our Spinal Tap reference.
Very good. Good. Yeah.
If everybody has watched Spinal Tap, well done. If anybody has not watched Spinal Tap, well, you should go and watch it.
After this.
Just log off the show and go.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's a classic.
It's not good market.
I'm not gonna try and compete with Spinal Tap.
Okay, you got it.
All right, let's get to some jokes here. Thank you, everybody, for your jokes. We do appreciate them. The worse, the better. And Corey will be rating your joke with the ancient method of sound effects.
Yes, I will.
We have 2 sound effects to choose from. One is this joke was not very good sound effect. Thank you, Corey.
Yep.
And the other one was this joke was mildly entertaining sound effect.
Yeah.
Good. Let's see what we've got here.
And you can get a combination of both sometimes.
Oh, well, yeah. Depends on how it goes. So, from Shirley. When is a black dog not a black dog?
I don't know.
When it's a greyhound. I mean, I'm not sure it works.
Yeah, sorry, Shirley.
Sorry, Shirley.
I mean, please don't take it. This is business. Don't take it personal, please.
Just business.
Sorry.
Don't worry, our jokes are just as bad, so it's fine. From Kenneth, where do math teachers go on vacation?
I do not know.
To Times Square.
Oh. That one I'll give.
It wasn't bad. It didn't make me laugh, but I
wish there was something in between the two, but I didn't get upset.
I didn't,
I wasn't going to spray you with a water bottle.
Jason has multiple here, so let's see.
He gets one.
He has many.
He gets his
Okay,
best.
Jason, I'm apologizing.
I believe Jason tends to put them in, and last time his first was the best, and then it got pretty bad.
It got worse than I said. I'm going to review these very quickly. This is a good one. Okay. Actually, some of these are quite good.
All right.
I'm going to read a couple.
Okay, go for it.
All right, number 1. What is the best thing to put into a pie?
Put into your hands.
You're very close. Your teeth.
Their teeth.
Yeah. Sound effect.
Oh, yeah.
How do we rate that joke?
Sorry, Jason. All right. Look at high standards here.
Okay, well, do we? Okay.
I don't know, not really.
Corey, did you hear the joke about the peanut butter?
I did not.
I'm not telling you what it is. You might spread it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like this.
Why do the French like to eat snails?
Why do the French like to eat snails? I do not know.
Well, it's obvious. They just don't like fast food. I liked it. All right, Jason. We appreciate the rest of them, but we will curtail it there. Those were some good ones. I feel like your general standard has improved quite a bit, actually.
I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, keep them coming next time. And Douglas says...
I've got one from Douglas.
Well, this one is interesting. It says S, and then it has a open square bracket, and then CA.
S, like less than or greater than? Or brace
square,
or bracket?
You know, the square bracket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
have no idea what that means. Okay.
I wonder, do you think maybe his cat hit his keyboard? It's like he didn't even, maybe he didn't
sprayed his cat with water,
and then
the cat ran across the keyboard, and that's what we get.
Left brace CA?
Left brace, thank you. All right, good. Okay.
Right. So Doug did send me one via email, which I refused to read. Sorry, Doug.
It was bad.
It was pretty bad. Really bad. But, Doug, you did share a meme or something on Facebook that I did find kind of funny. So that one is the one I'm going to use today. So you still contributed, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
Two guys are sitting on a porch drinking some beer, and a truck drives by with a bunch of rolled up sod. Rolled up sod is like grass, fake, or not fake grass, but
it's just grass on soil.
It is, yes. And the one guy says, "Oh, when I win the lottery, I'm going to do that." And the other guy goes, "Do what? What are you talking about?" And the first guy goes, "Send my yard out to get mowed." Which I found quite funny.
We enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I like the way we gave ourselves the most rim shots there. All right, well, with that being said, that's the end of Tech Talk Live for today. Thank you, everyone.
And we're done.
Thank you. Douglas was saying ASPCA in regards to the cat issue. Melanie says that was probably what was going on there. Good point, yeah. Here's the thing, though, people. I love my cat. My cat is probably one of the greatest animals on earth.
Yeah, I know you do. You walk him.
I walk him. He likes to be walked, so I take him for walks. He loves cuddles all the time.
Yeah.
Has a very nice temperament. I would never get rid of my cat, but at 5 o'clock in the morning,
I don't like him so much.
Sometimes I would get rid of my cat. So
I only want to get rid of him for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I need to
send him to somebody else's house for a cat sleepover. And then in the morning, I'll go get him. It'll be fine. So if anybody lives in Illinois and wants to host my cat for cat sleepovers every night, then please let me know.
Yeah, sure. That makes
All right. So today we are going to be talking about Windows 11. And Windows 11, well, it's made by Microsoft, surprise, surprise. And it's going to be on your computer. If you buy a new Windows computer these days, you will get Windows 11. And also, you may have noticed on your own computer that you have been asked if you want to upgrade to Windows 11. Now, I don't know how far they are along in that process at this point because everybody was on Windows 10. And in October, I think it was, of last year, they started rolling out Windows 11, but it was a staggered release. And so it wasn't everybody who was getting Windows 11 at the same time. There was two parts to it. Number one, you had to verify that your computer was able to run Windows 11. And not all computers could. It depended on your computer specifications. There was a little tool that Microsoft released that you could use to check your computer's compatibility. If you haven't done that and you don't have Windows 11, you might find that your computer can't run Windows 11. But assuming it could, they were then rolling it out at different speed to different people. I don't know if they've finished doing that at this point and everybody has had an opportunity or not, to be quite honest with you. But if you haven't had the opportunity and your computer can run it, you should be getting a pop-up window at some point that is giving you the opportunity to install Windows 11. I think the file size was around 4 gigabytes, so it wasn't that large. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, Windows 11 basically introduced a shiny new operating system for your Microsoft computer, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what all the differences are, but one of the most noticeable differences to begin with is the visual change, which obviously isn't going to necessarily be so important for our screen reader users. But there has been a visual revamp that actually makes it a little bit more in line with macOS, which is kind of interesting. One of the big things that's changed is the appearance of the taskbar, which people would have been familiar with from all the other iterations of Windows. They decided to change it for some reason, no idea why. But some of the other changes, or the things that we're going to be obviously interested in, are the accessibility changes. And again, to be quite honest with you, nothing has changed drastically since Windows 10. But it's worth taking a look at some of the things. They have changed the terminology for some things and changed the menu layout for some things and things like that. So we're going to be diving in and taking a look at those. Now, if anybody, as we go through, has any top tips for their favorite Windows 11 accessibility features, then please feel free to put them in the chat. Corey, your experience with Windows 11 so far. I don't think you have set sail on the Windows 11 chip.
I have not yet. I mean, I've done a little bit of, I've had our production computer here and another one at home, but I have not done a whole heck of a lot from a screen reader standpoint. And I need to get us going here.
But. Yeah, and to be honest, like our clients, I think are like almost exclusively still using Windows 10. And in a way, I would like recommend still using Windows 10 just because it's a more mature and stable platform. Windows 11, whenever you update to a new operating system, you're always taking a little bit of a risk. But at the same time, at some point, you probably are going to need to migrate over to Windows 11. So in some ways, there's no time like the present. If anybody has been using a screen reader with Windows 11 and has run into any issues or any good things as well, then please feel free to put that in the chat. But for the moment, we're going to just go ahead and switch over and we will take a look at where the accessibility features are and what they do. So give me a second here. I'm going to switch over to...
And I am now monitoring the chat.
Yes, indeed.
So I'll keep an eye while you're doing
make sure you send Corey lots of jokes.
Yes.
All right, so we should be now looking at my desktop. Now, I can't tell if we're looking at my desktop at the moment because I'm looking at the desktop.
I can show you if you'd like.
Or if anybody wants to put it in the chat as well, that's totally fine.
There you go.
You're actually your screen.
Oh, yeah. I blacked out the screen.
Yeah.
How about that?
There we go. Okay, good. So it looks like we're looking at a desktop here. So this is a lovely new background that we have for Windows 11. So they do have a number of new themes and backgrounds and stuff. And our taskbar now is actually situated centrally. Now you can change the position of that, but by default it will be positioned centrally, which is more akin to kind of the Mac OS idea. And the visual icons have changed as well. Now, obviously for programs, they're going to be still the same. But for example, our start button now in the taskbar looks different. Our search button looks different. Our our desktop switcher looks different. And so on and so forth. So there are some visual changes.
Yeah, and we did get a comment here from Lynn saying that she had upgraded to Windows 11 and she's not liking it as much, especially doesn't like that the start menu is in the center of the screen.
Now you can change that if you right-click in there. Yeah, if you right-click in there, you are able to get to settings. Now with a screen reader, actually, I'm not sure how you do that off the top of my head.
Although from a screen reader standpoint,
I guess it doesn't matter.
Exactly, but is there like in the settings? Is it a classic start menu, or does it just let you change?
No, it's nothing like that. You can just change the position of the thing. So you can move them back over to the left, but the way that they look is still going to be the same. Okay. There may be a way to revert it to Windows 10 appearance as well, but at that point, why not just use Windows 10?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I know there's been a number of programs that have been out that people have used, especially when we switched from XP to 7 to 10, there was these programs where you could download and it would revert everything, and it's you got eventually you got to just get used to it, the change.
You do. Yeah, it's worth investing a bit of time in it. But I have to say, I found some stuff with Windows 11 a little bit confusing as well. Let's just take a look at another thing which I don't really like. In the taskbar now, where the internet and sound and the, in this case battery, because we're using a laptop, are displayed on the right side, those are actually all part of one kind of area now, whereas before they were separate. So we can kind of tab over to that area or click on the area, and it brings up this new little window. Now, one of the things that is handy in here is we actually have an accessibility shortcut in this window. It's actually pretty similar to Chrome OS, Corey. You can kind of open up their little, what do they call it? Their little menu on there.
Yeah, I can't think of the name. I do. Yeah.
They have a little menu right there on the kind of desktop, and there is an accessibility shortcut in there. It's similar now with Windows 11 here, and so in that accessibility shortcut, we can turn on and off the magnifier, color filters, narrator, and then we can switch to mono audio and turn on sticky keys. Yeah. So all of those things.
That's pretty common now. You'll see that Android has a similar thing. a lot of the Echo devices, any of those any of your Amazon Echo Fire devices that are touchscreen, they have that same little kind of a settings panel. I don't even panel that kind of pops down where you have that accessibility
it's like a little shortcut panel. Now, of course, you can obviously do all of these things using keyboard shortcuts as well, which we'll be discussing. But not everybody wants to use keyboard shortcuts, or some people will find it hard to remember those shortcuts, especially if it's a feature that you don't use that much. So being able to just access some of these things from here, just with a toggle switch, can potentially be easier.
And for those that are narrator or just screen reader users in general, we have chosen today to do focus more on the kind of the low vision side of it, because we can't. An hour time we'll just never be able to fit both in. So we will be doing a future Tech Talk Live on screen reader with Windows 11.
And I just did see a message from Jim here about how good the new voices for narrator are in Windows 11. Jim, I have to admit, I haven't heard them yet, but
they have some crazy. Some of those new core Windows voices are really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
sounding really realistic.
Yeah, they are, and some of them it gets almost a little creepy when they start incorporating the breaths and stuff. It's for those that have come up using like Eloquence, or even before that using hardware synths like Deck Talk and all that. The more human the voices get, I actually find them to be. I love the way they sound, and there's a certain time I like them, but for everyday use, I find them a little And our clients love if you're just getting into using a computer, then it's great for new people.
Yeah, and Jim points out that those are in the beta version of Windows 11. So I don't have those available on here because I'm just using the regular, retail version. So I don't have those voices, and I haven't heard them, but I definitely would be interested. So I'm still rocking Microsoft David on this computer. But don't forget, those text-to-speech voices. Those are useful not only for narrator, but also with the text-to-speech functionality of the Windows Magnifier too. So even low-vision users are going to be able to enjoy those.
Which you're going to show us later.
I sure am, Corey. I sure am.
I am very excited.
Now, at the bottom of this little shortcut window, we do have this link to go to more accessibility settings, and that would take us through to our full accessibility settings. So that's one way that we can get there. I'm going to show you how to get there from the start menu too, but that is one way that you can get there. The other thing which I thought might be worth pointing out in this little window that opens when we click on where the internet connection and the sound and stuff like that are, is there is a brightness slider here as well. And so if you do need to reduce your screen brightness, then there's a handy slider that you can access from there. Now, for some reason, I've used somebody's computer before where when I opened this, it didn't actually give me access to their internet settings. Like here, if I click on the little arrow, then it does give me a list of networks, and I can choose my network and connect to a network and whatever. But I've used somebody's computer before where that wasn't present, and I don't know why. So this is like some of the things I was like, why isn't that there? I have no idea why. And it's stuff like that with when you're moving to a new operating system that can be kind of frustrating. There's definitely some learning to be done.
Microsoft Office is also king for doing that. So what it does, especially if you're using like the 365 version, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll test out new, for example, spell check for a while. They were testing out new versions of spell checker. And you didn't know, we work on so many different computers where you don't know which one they have.
So
you're used to training someone on one method, and then you're like, oh, never mind, you've got their other one, and and I get why they do it, but it can really be difficult for a user too to get kind of used to if they're changing.
Totally. I noticed that now the spell check includes like grammatical suggestions and
they ask you like what kind of is this a professional document? It gets a little.
You can do synonyms and antonyms and all sorts of cool stuff. But if you don't know that that's going to be there, all of a sudden it's super confusing. Something you've been doing for the last 3 years, and now it's totally different. Okay, so let's look at the other way, the more standard way to get into our accessibility settings. So our start menu is now represented by this weird, well, it's not weird. I mean, it makes sense. It's 4 squares arranged in a square, if that makes sense. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. That is the Windows logo, but it used to look different in Windows 10. It was like more slanted and whatever, it looks different. But anyway, if we click on that, that's going to open up our start menu. And in here, we will have pinned access to the settings. So at the top of this start menu, there are icons for all of the different pinned programs, and one of those is the settings. It looks like a cogwheel. And if we go ahead and click on that, now we've opened up our settings, and on the left we have the option to look at accessibility settings. It's toward the bottom of the list, and this is one of the changes actually. So traditionally Microsoft have labeled their accessibility settings as ease of access. So if you were looking for the accessibility settings, you would be looking for ease of access. That was definitely true in Windows 7. It was true in Windows 10, Windows 8, ease of access. But now they kind of cottoned on that nobody calls accessibility stuff ease of access. They call it accessibility. So they've actually come into line now with the more standard terminology. And so on the left, you will find accessibility, and that is going to be the accessibility options.
Do you know in the Windows 11 start menu, do they still have the standard search box that we had in 7 and 10?
Yes.
Do you know? I'm assuming, can you just type accessibility in there and get there too? Okay.
Well, it's actually so.
Or is it going to more take you to a specific?
In my experience, it will take you to a specific accessibility screen.
Not just the general.
Which is fine. I mean, it'll get you into the right kind of area, but because it takes you to a specific accessibility screen, I actually find it easier just to click on settings, because then it's right there.
For sure.
But yeah, you can type in accessibility too. Okay, so let's click on our accessibility. And on the right, we have opened up a list of all the different accessibility features. Now, the vast majority of these are vision related. There's a couple of hearing, and then a couple which are kind of, could be used by people with various different disabilities. But the vast majority are vision related. So let's go ahead and work through some of these. The first option is going to be text size. Now, this is going to be the same as with Windows 10. Yeah, it's a real mystery. This will change the size of text across Windows, and that includes inside Microsoft programs, for example, in Office. Now, let's say that you have trouble seeing the things in the ribbon, and using the magnifier is a drag because you're zoomed in and you're not seeing everything at the same time. You've got to pan around and all of that stuff. Well, changing the text size here will change the size of all the text in those ribbons, as well as across the Windows operating system. So it's kind of handy. I'm going to go ahead and just show you here. We'll slide it over to 150, for example, hit apply, and instantly the text became larger. That was actually super snappy. I wasn't expecting it to be that quick. That was nice. It looks like Windows 11 may have speeded up the speed at which that's applied. Let's do it again here. Okay, and we're getting larger and larger text here as we adjust the text size. Now, I'll tell you what I'll do actually. I'll open up a Word document just to show how the ribbons have become, kind of large here. So at some point, stuff gets so large that the words start getting cut off, in the ribbons, and some stuff might display a little bit funny.
I just find that interesting that is allowed.
Yeah.
That they isn't smart enough to say, okay, I know you picked 200%, but I can only go to 125, whatever.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to give options. So it kind of makes sense. This is a real nice feature for people who find magnification difficult to work with in terms of using the screen magnifier, and just need to make stuff like certain things a little bit bigger. It can definitely be useful. So, but like I say, that was available in Windows 10. Nothing really is new there. Underneath there, we have this related settings for display. Now, let me just double check on this. So display is actually in a different part of the settings, but we can get to it here when we're looking at this text size and accessibility. And one of the things I did want to point out here is, actually there's a couple of things. So number one, in this display settings menu, we do have the option to turn on the night light. Now, I was actually just working with somebody today who finds the whites from screens too much. They're too bright and they cause words to kind of bleed into each other when he's trying to read them. Nightlight will change the temperature of the whites through from kind of that strong blue light, which would be the normal, through to a much more yellow light, which is a lot more soothing on the eyes. It's designed for use when you're using devices at night, and the blue light can keep you awake, whereas the yellow light is supposed to help prevent that. But it's also good for people with vision impairment who find those whites just too intense. So I just turned it on, and I'm not sure how well it will transmit across our setup here, but visually to me now, all of the whites have become much more yellow, which I actually have that on my smartphone just because I find it a lot more soothing on the eyes.
I wonder if your cat is getting too much blue light.
That's a very good question.
Not sleeping enough.
No, I need to strap him down and just like shine yellow light into his eyes.
Well, if you strap him down, he can't get into your room, so I guess
yeah, it's problem solved.
you're probably not really sure what was the right solution in that.
Now, there's a toggle switch here to turn on and off night light, but I can also click on the night light where it says night light as well to change settings such as the strength of the yellowness, and also I can set up a schedule which will turn on the night light at certain times.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of night light, and if you do find that the white light or the blue light from your computer gets kind of taxing on the eyes, then it's definitely worth messing around with that. A couple of other things here that actually these have changed their position in the menus now to be now in this display menu compared to Windows 10 when they were in a different place. One of those is the scale. Now this will change the size of everything. So the text size that we looked at first changes the size specifically of text, but this scale will change the size of everything. So all of your windows and all of the text and all the images, everything will become larger. I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to mess up our stream, but it will be on whatever the default, the recommended is, which is often 125%, sometimes 100% depending on your computer. But you can go ahead and open up a drop down there and change it to 150, 175%. And that will, like I say, enlarge everything without you needing to use a screen magnifier. Super useful, but the problem is that when you enlarge things, again, sometimes stuff doesn't display properly, and it can become a real pain when you get a pop-up window and the pop-up window has a button that you need to interact with, but that button is off of the bottom of the screen because the pop-up window doesn't fit on the screen and you can't move it or resize it or anything like that. So it can become a bit of a pain, but again, depending on what you're doing, that may or may not be.
Because when you're in scale like that, there's no panning like in magnification.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it's off the screen, it's off the screen.
Exactly.
There's
so
no way. Okay.
The good thing about it is it does fit to the screen, as in like no matter how large things are, they'll still just be on the one screen. Mm-hmm. But that's also a bad thing because then you can't pan and locate things that don't fit. Yeah.
Okay.
We also have resolution. Now, changing the scale is basically changing the resolution, but in the resolution drop-down, we do have more resolutions we can choose between. Again, the lower your resolution, the larger things will appear. So you might find that changing resolution works for you, but also it may mess up how some things are displayed too. So there's a few different things there which are kind of useful. Let's go ahead and go back. There is a back arrow in the top left, by the way. I did try doing an alt left arrow as well here, but it doesn't really work. So we'll go ahead and hit the back arrow. And we're going to hit it again, go back to our regular accessibility menu. The next option we have is visual effects. Now for this one, there's nothing in here that I saw that I thought was hugely useful, to be quite honest with you, except this one option which says, gives us the option to change the amount of time before notifications are dismissed. Now I don't remember seeing this in the Ease of Access Center in Windows 10, so this might be something new that they added. But there's a little drop down here and we can change how long notifications are displayed. Now I like this because if you're using screen magnification and you're zoomed in and you're looking at a particular part of the screen, a notification appears and you hear it is popped up, but those appear in the bottom right of the screen. So now you've got to pan over, find that notification and read it, right? And by default, it's going to disappear after 5 seconds, which is oftentimes not enough time to find and read that notification.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we can change that, and we can actually change it all the way up to 5 minutes, which is very generous. So you can change it and make sure that it's going to be visible and you've got time to go and read it. So I did think that was kind of neat in there. Next option, mouse pointer and touch. This is pretty similar to how it was before in Windows 10. We have the option to enlarge the mouse pointer with a slider, and we can make it nice and large, just like we could in Windows 10. We can also change the color. And we can do that. We can either have your regular high contrast white, high contrast black, or we can choose from specific kind of colors, or we can actually use a color wheel to select whatever color we want. So it's really pretty adjustable, which is nice. And I don't use a touchscreen computer, but there is an option here to have an indicator when we use the touchscreen. So when you touch on the screen, you will get a circle, which is basically where you touched. And also now we have the ability to make that circle larger and darker, which was not available, I don't think, in Windows 10. So there's been a little bit of a change there. Now there are some useful related settings here. We have the mouse, which will actually take us through to a separate area where we can adjust things like mouse pointer speed and whether our primary button is the left click or the right click and things like that. And we also have this touchpad here where we can enable and disable different touchpad shortcuts. So for example, 2 fingers on a touchpad, moving them up or down will scroll. One neat thing I actually noticed here, Corey, is so scrolling can be quite confusing to some people with a touchpad, because let's say that we're on a web page, we need to scroll the web page. We're going to use our touch gestures on the touchpad. Now I'm going to take 2 fingers and I'm going to push them up on the touchpad. What direction is the web page going to scroll?
If you're pushing them up, then it should be scrolling down.
Exactly.
Because you're pulling it up.
But it depends how you think about it, right?
Well, if you are a touchscreen phone user, then it's natural, because really phones are the ones that kind of brought that into exactly. Yeah. But it is sort of weird. If you're pushing up, it should scroll up. If you're sliding down, it should scroll down.
Yeah, it depends how you're thinking about it. If you're thinking about manipulating with a physical object, it makes sense that if you push it up, then it scrolls down because you're moving it upwards. But if you're just thinking up is up and down is down, then it can be confusing.
That's all that is on touchscreen phone. That was always, it still is. For people who are just starting to use it, it is exactly. It's kind of opposite of what you'd expect.
Yeah, but here in the touchpad settings, we can actually choose how we want that to work. So if you are one of those people who finds it confusing, then you can change that in the touchpad settings here, which is pretty cool. Now we do also have a related setting here, text cursor, but that's also in the main list of settings here as well. So we'll just come out to our main list of settings again. We have text cursor. Again, this is going to be the same as Windows 10. I will say as well, some of this stuff is actually minimized. So for example, here we have text cursor indicator with an on and off toggle, but there's more options there, but they're minimized. And this is one of the things I don't like about how they've set this up, because it actually hides additional settings. And all you have to do is click on them to open those settings, but if you don't know they're there, that could be a little confusing. So if you see a little downward pointing arrow to the right of an accessibility option, it means that there are more options there that you can open up. So in this case, those options would be adjusting the size of the text cursor indicator and the color. Now, these text cursor indicators are just colored blobs which will appear above and below the text cursor. We can, as I say, choose the color and the size of those. If I flip over to a Word document here, then if I can actually do this properly, there we go. Our text cursor now has got colored blobs and above and below it. That just makes it a little easier for me to visually locate the position of that. So like I say, those are the same as Windows 10. And we also have this text cursor thickness, again, the same as Windows 10. We can change the text cursor to make it thicker and darker. And so now, in this case, I actually have the dark theme on. So the text cursor is white, but it's become thicker. And obviously it is always flashing as well to help draw my eye to it. So yeah, those have stayed pretty much the same. There's nothing new really there.
We did get a comment here, a question kind of from Kenneth, saying that words and small font or small print are blurry on his display. Is that common? He's got a Windows 10 Dell desktop.
No, and I'm wondering whether that might be a resolution issue.
That's typically, I was going to say same thing. Typically, when you're getting blurry font like that, that's typically a resolution. Not you have the wrong resolution for the monitor, that you're using. So it might be worth something.
Yeah, it might be worth checking your screen resolution.
Now Jason brings up a good point here too about Windows 10. And Kenneth, I guess we should ask, when you're saying you're blurry, is that with or without magnification? Because that does make a difference. Jason is right on the Windows 10. Magnification is kind of the letter smoothing, and that's and I think you see that more on the higher mags, right? So a lot of times people will say like, well, when is zoom text appropriate versus just using what's built into Windows? Because it has gotten to the point now where Windows 10 and 11 really do offer a lot. But I do think, and you're better to answer this, Luke, that it appears that zoom text still does have, besides some other features like focus enhancements and such, their magnification is still clearer and better with that text smoothing.
That is absolutely true.
Okay.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And as Jason points out, the Windows magnifier is getting better in this regard, and I think, but this could just be an illusion in my mind, but I feel like the Windows 11 magnifier is a little better in this regard. So it is a little sharper at those higher magnifications. But like I say, that might not necessarily be true. It could be that that's just me imagining things.
Yeah. And I think you're right. They're going to constantly, I think we'll see that magnification get constantly better.
Yeah, for sure. Now we are going to look at the magnifier function now, so we'll go ahead and open this up. And again, there's not too much new here, but let's take a look at what we got. So first of all, we have a toggle to turn on and off the magnifier. Now our expert listeners obviously won't be using that toggle because they will know that they can use Windows and the plus key to turn on the magnifier as well as zoom in, and Windows minus to zoom out, and Windows escape to turn off the magnifier. And because they've been listening very carefully to our show today, they will also know that if we come down to the to the taskbar here and click on where we see the little sound and the internet and so on and so forth, then we can open our accessibility shortcut menu and turn on the magnifier from there also.
Oh yeah.
So of course our listeners are excellent and experts. But if you do want to come to the menu here to turn on the magnifier, then that's fine. You can do that too.
I just want, if you don't mind, I just want to pop back in real quick here. Kenneth did mention that he's using Fusion, and his Acuity is 2750.
Okay.
Now I did have I had an issue with some blurry text when I worked with a client a few years ago, and I can't remember if it was Zoom text or Magic, honestly, but I did have to end up calling in to get some help, and we ended up not using the kind of most current text smoothing and sort of went back to a traditional text smoothing and got a much better. So what I would recommend, Kenneth, is give Vispero Freedom Scientific a call. I'm guessing if you're using Fusion and you're getting some blurriness, that it's probably related to Fusion itself and some text smoothing or some other setting that might, that might be there. So I'd recommend giving them a call.
That makes sense. All right, now the magnifier again is hiding some additional options. If we just click on the where it says magnifier, we can open up these options for starting the magnifier before sign-in and starting the magnifier after signing. You can check those checkboxes if you want to. The next option we have is zoom level, and this is going to be basically, it will display the level that we're currently on, but allow us also to set a standard magnification level that will be, that when we turn on the magnifier, it will be at. So we can set that using a plus and minus. At the moment, ours is on 2.25 times magnification, but also nestled under here, hidden again, if we click it, is zoom increment, and I do find that it's a bit strange how Windows sets their standard zoom increment at 100%, so you would go from 1 times to 2 times to 3 times, and for a lot of people that's too much. It's better to have it go from 1 times to 1.25 to 1.5 to 1.75 to 2, having those smaller increments. So by standard, like I say, it will be 100%, but in the drop down we can change it to as small as 5% or as large as 400%. So I would definitely recommend investigating that if you are using the Windows 10 magnifier. The next thing we have is our view window, and the view will allow us to change whether it's full screen magnification, whether it's a lens magnification or a docked magnification, the same as Windows 10. We'll take a look at those in just a second. But we can click there to open up additional options as well, and choose how magnifier works with us, whether it follows our mouse pointer as we move the mouse around, whether it follows our words as we're typing them, whether it will follow narrator and various things like that. There's various settings that can be changed there, which can be useful. We also have here the option to turn on invert colors. This is the smoothing edges of images and text, so I don't think this existed in Windows 7 or maybe not in 8 either. I think it was introduced with Windows 10. We do have some smoothing technology similar to Zoom Text, but it's not as good as that at the moment. And then at the bottom here, we have the ability to choose our reading shortcut. So the magnifier does have text-to-speech capabilities. That was the same in Windows 10. Also, by the sounds of it, though, we're going to get some great new voices that will work with this as well. So that's pretty exciting. Even the current voice, Microsoft David, is pretty nice as well, though. So we can change the shortcut. By default, it's Control and Alt. So we would hold Control and Alt and then click where we want it to read. But you can change that to caps lock or to insert or to caps lock and insert. So those are our magnifier options. They're very similar to Windows 10. I'm just going to show you now the magnifier. We'll take a look at how it looks. So I'm going to do a Windows Plus to turn on my magnifier. And at the moment we're on 2.25 times or 225%. We'll start to zoom in a little bit here. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what size we're at. Let's see if we can find out here. We're at 4.25 times now, and I think this looks better than Windows 10. Now, I don't know how well it's gonna. Actually, I don't even know if it doesn't look like it's coming across, unfortunately. Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Oh, the magnification.
Yeah, I don't think the magnification is being transmitted across our stream here, so that's a bit of a shame. But I will just tell you that it does, in my mind, look sharper than it did with Windows 10. And I'm going to zoom up now to 5.75. Let's go to 6 times here. I think this is looking quite a bit sharper. Now, it's still not Zoom text levels, I would suggest, but if you've had issues with clarity with Windows Magnifier in the past, if you get Windows 11, I think it's worth trying it again. Cool. Okay, yeah, it's a bit of a shame that didn't get transmitted across.
It must do it before the video card that goes, capture.
That's goofy. I have had trouble with this before, but I feel like we've done it in the past.
I think that maybe the difference is we're not screen sharing, we're going through OBS, so
yes,
maybe that might do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just think of what you see now a little bigger.
Yeah.
Aren't we a great
source of This is why this is the number one show on the internet.
This is why you come here for answers.
Okay, our next option in our accessibility menu is color filters. There's some stuff I like in color filters here. The same client that I was talking about, who I was working with today, and we looked at the night light option for reducing the intensity of the whites. We also looked at the color filters option. This was on a phone, but it's the same idea. We looked at the color filters option as well, and whether grayscale would be something that would work for him and be more comfortable visually. Now, I actually have grayscale set on my phone because I just kind of prefer it. Number one, it's a little easier on the eyes, and number two, it reduces your desire to look at your phone all the time because the colors aren't there. And when you do turn on the colors again, everything is like crazy saturated. More, it's wild how you kind of notice how bright those colors are. But anyway, grayscale might be something which would be useful. And in our color filters, we can go ahead and turn on our grayscale option. So now we have no colors; everything is shades of gray. We also have a grayscale inverted as well, so that again everything's shades of grey, but it's inverted the colours. And we have a regular invert as well, which is like a dumb invert, which will invert the colours of everything. I know, it's true though. Now the magnifier has its own colour invert as well. If anybody can tell me the shortcut, you'll get extra points. I know what it is, but this is my challenge to our...
do you?
This is my challenge, I do. This is my challenge to our community here.
Control invert.
Well, yeah, I do have some clients who speak like that when they're talking about shortcuts. But yeah, so the magnifier has its own dumb invert, but you have to have the magnifier on for that to work, right?
Okay.
So in this color filters, we can turn on an invert that is not tied to the magnifier. That can be kind of handy. So yeah, again, it might be worth playing around with if you do find that the screen's just too bright and too much, especially over longer periods. Grayscale, or one of these other color inverts might be the thing.
Okay.
We do also have the options for color blindness in here as well. So our red, green, and blue, yellow options as well. Again, those are going to be the same as we had in Windows 10. Did anybody come through with that shortcut?
No. I'm
very disappointed. Control-Alt-I is our shortcut. So, there you go. A little tip of the day. Wow. Okay, then we have narrator. We're not covering that at the moment, but that is obviously our screen reader. I don't know if they've made any significant changes, but when we do a show on it, which is not on our current roster, so we might have to revise.
We will, you know. We sometimes we change things.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So we'll find out whether Narrator's had any interesting changes. I would be interested in actually getting that beta and trying out those other voices as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But down at the bottom here, our final major category, I guess, would be our speech. And this is going to be useful for us because we have our speech recognition options down here. So we'll go ahead and open that up. And we have a couple of things here. Now, something jumped out to me as possibly being new here, but I'm not 100% sure. So the first thing is we have this informational box, which we can't actually do anything with, but it tells us something very interesting, which is that doing a Windows H will turn on and off dictation. Now, this is an online dictation. It was the same in Windows 10 as well. So just like you might dictate to your smartphone, you can do a similar style of dictation on your Windows computer. Anytime you're in a text field, a Windows H will initiate dictation, and a Windows H will stop dictation as well. Now, this is an online dictation, which is generally better because you don't have to train it to understand your voice. But you do have to be connected to the internet to use it, right?
Yeah, and I also found with it when we were working, at least with one client,
yes,
where you talk,
yes,
don't do Windows H when you're done talking though. You almost need to give it like a 5-second count and then hit Windows H, because otherwise you got tons of
Yeah, well, the problem is when you dictate punctuation, it types the punctuation
that's one of the issues we were having,
So it will type in comma as a word, period as a word, exclamation mark as words. And if you once you finish dictating, if you just wait for a few seconds, it will correct that.
Yeah.
But if you do a Windows H and turn off dictation too quickly, those will remain words.
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
And if you're reading that with a screen reader, I mean, it would be easy to miss. Exclamation mark would be easy to get.
Well,
but
yeah,
the other ones like comma, period. I mean,
well, it depends what your punctuation settings.
Oh, that's a fair point. If it doesn't announce punctuation, and now it is doing,
then you would know
that's
something's going on here.
But anyway, it's a little bit weird. I don't know why it's like that. But anyway, the thing that jumped out to me that was possibly new was this shortcut to turn on and off the speech recognition service. Now, this is different to voice typing. Speech recognition service is an offline speech recognition capability that's built into Windows. It's been there at least since Windows 7. And this one you do really need to train to understand your voice, which I don't know how accessible that training is, to be quite honest with you. It's a case like the initial setup, you have to do like a whole
read a bunch of stuff.
Well, it's not that much. It's like Peter dictates to his computer. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
There's a bit there that's like he prefers
pickles.
No, it doesn't do with pickles. Anyway, you have to read a little thing, but even after that point, it kind of understands you a tiny little bit, but it still sucks real bad.
Sure.
But there's more training you can go through where you're doing paragraph reading, and it's one of those things where the more you train it, the better it will start to just understand your voice, but it's a real effort. Now, the good thing about it is twofold. Number one, you can use it offline, which is good, and number two, it also allows you to command your computer or control your computer.
Yeah.
So it's not just dictation. You can actually do other things with it. For example, opening programs and
move the cursor around, click on stuff.
Exactly. It's kind of complicated, but
it's very similar to Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you've ever used Dragon outside of just dictation, you can say close program. You can say click Alt F4 or click Don't Save, and it'll click that Don't Save button.
Yeah. So there can be time savings there, but if you can use a keyboard and mouse well, it's probably going to be easier just to do that. Let's just try out the dictation real quick here. So we're going to dictate something. I'll do a Windows H here. We're in a Word document. Let me dictate something. Hello, comma. I am in a Word document, and I am dictating, period. I hope this works, comma. Otherwise, I will look like a real idiot, exclamation mark. Okay, and there we go. It was pretty fast at changing those punctuations that time, but there was that kind of period where they were just words. So if I had done a Windows H to turn off my speech rec, then it would have just left those as words. But we can see it was accurate here. It typed out. Now, for some reason, it's giving me a grammatical underlining under the word document. I mean, I guess it is just typing what I'm saying, but you see, it's telling me a comma would be better here.
Oh.
Now, here's an interesting thing that I haven't experimented with, but when we do a Windows H, we get up this little speech recognition panel at the bottom of the screen here, and we can actually click on the microphone to start and stop dictation rather than using a Windows H. But there's also a little settings cogwheel here. There was something interesting in here that I thought could be helpful. And it's this option for auto punctuation. Now let's turn it on and we'll see how it does. So I'm going to turn that on. I haven't tried this, so we'll see. Hopefully it does something good.
5-minute warning.
Okay. So here we go, Windows H. Hello, my name is Luke. What is your name? I have never done this before. I hope it works. Otherwise, we will have to send nasty emails to Bill Gates. Don't do that. Only joking. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's see what we got. Well, oh my gosh, it looks like it works quite well. Okay, so we got hello, period. My name is Luke, period. I probably would have put a comma after that.
I would have done that too, but maybe that's correct.
Well, this is the thing. It probably does better punctuation than I do, to be fair. What is your name? Question mark.
Okay.
Good. I have never done this before. Period. Good. I hope it works. Period. Good. Otherwise, we will have to send nasty emails to Bill Gates. Period. Don't do that, period. Only joking, haha. Okay, pretty good. So if you are the type of person who finds it difficult to switch into that mentality where when you're dictating, you need to do it as if you are typing, if you find it hard and you're one of those dictators who just dictates as if they're talking normally, this is going to be pretty useful, I assume. And it will work across anywhere that you dictate, so it could be emails or Word documents or whatever.
I got a comment. And I'm horrible with names and with using speech, but I think it's
Svetlana.
Svetlana, I think. I couldn't get the L to come out of my...
I probably got the pronunciation wrong as well.
Well,
Svetlana, if we were close, then let us know.
Yeah, but they have a great point here, how thrilling it is to have this built-in accessibility, especially from a narrator standpoint, to get a new computer and be able to set it up right away. I manage the IT for our building. We have a new employee starting next week, and I was able to take a new computer out of the box, completely set it up with narrator, join the domain. I mean, everything. At some point, I put on NVDA, but didn't need to, and that really is, that is such a powerful and thrilling feeling to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's getting so much better in that regard, really, across the board. So
the setup process, everything is, it's great.
I'm very glad that companies are actually, caring about this stuff, for sure. Okay, let me just show you quickly. So if we had a screen reader, as we're dictating, it would not automatically read back what we had dictated. So we would have to go back and review what had been typed there, to make sure it was what we wanted. If we are using the magnifier, now it doesn't matter if the magnifier is zoomed in or not. So my magnifier is turned on. It's not actually zoomed in at the moment, but it is on. As long as we have it on, we can use its text-to-speech feature. So we looked in the menus, you can change the modifier key, but by default it's Control-Alt. So if I do a Control-Alt-click.
Hello. My name is Luke. What is your name? I have never done this before.
Press any key to stop it. So Control-Alt and left clicking where you want it to start reading and away it goes. So that's another way. If you're a magnifier user, you can review things which have been dictated. And obviously that reading function will read any text, whether it's on a web page or an email or icon on the desktop or whatever. And soon it sounds like we'll have some lovely new voices for that as well. So I don't know why I'm so excited about these voices.
They really are.
I just really like the idea of really human sounding voices. All right, well, I guess that's the end of our accessibility. Hold on, there's one more thing, real quick here. 'Cause I know we're running out of time, I apologize.
11:59. Just kidding. Okay. When do we ever end it? Right at 12?
Never, yes. Okay, so under personalization in the settings menu, there are further things you might want to explore. I'll just bring up one here, which I can't remember where it is. Oh, here we go. Themes. There is this option for themes. And what we have is, I thought we did anyway.
Is it the dark reverse theme and that kind of where you can
it's a bit confusing, but they have, so there's an option that says current theme, and if we click on that, it will allow us to open up several themes to choose from. Now, these are not, doing the high contrast mode, which actually I don't think we saw that, but you can still do high contrast with Alt, Left, Shift, and print screen. It's not that, it's not invert colors. It's different, it's themes that we're applying that will kind of change the color. Now, I have a theme applied at the moment, and I forget which one I have. Actually, I have a custom one, but let me show you in a second. So we're going to click on the first theme here. And what we've done is we've changed the color of everything. So now the windows are white instead. The taskbar is kind of a gray. For me, I don't really like it. Actually, I wonder, I might have my color invert on as well. I think I've got a few different things going on. This is the problem. There's
when you're demoing, you put too much on.
Well, this is the problem, because there's different places to change all of this stuff.
Sure.
You can end up turning on conflicting things.
Sure, you want to be real careful when you're checking things or playing or investigating, that you keep a track of what you've turned on where, so that
exactly.
you don't end up with a bunch
I can't
of
even remember what I've got to
reverse plus smart plus theme plus.
Let me just see if we can figure it out. Whatever. Anyway, so the point is that there are ways to change the way that your computer looks without using these high contrast modes. There are different themes that we can choose, which will give us kind of like a dark theme or a light theme, and it will change the color of windows, you know, and different things like that. So those can be worth experimenting with, as well as we also have these high contrast themes as well, and these are the ones which are really going to be kind of more intense changes. Let me see if I set up here the desert high contrast theme for a second.
If you use, just as you're doing that, we got someone asking if in Windows 10, is there a way to have emails read to you? Now, if you're using Magnifier in Windows 10, that speaks selection or that read is also in Windows 10.
Yeah.
So what Luke just demonstrated in Microsoft Word would work in Outlook, or if you're doing online mail or the mail app, whatever it might be, do the same thing, and you'll be able to
You would want to
read.
make sure the magnifier is turned on with a Windows Plus, and then you can do a Control-Alt left click at the start of the email, and it would read from that point to the end of the email.
And obviously, again, if you need more than that because you're not a magnifier user, now we're tapping into Narrator, and we'll be talking about that in a future session as well.
Svetlana says, I'm quite good with pronouncing that name.
You got a fan,
yeah. Excellent. All right, cool. So that should do that. Anyway, hopefully that's given you some ideas about what's available.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of good accessibility stuff. It's very similar.
Continues to get better.
You know, it's very similar to Windows 10 at the moment, but with some additional options. Hold on, I need to change my theme here. Hold on a second. Let's go back to our main shot. There we go. Yes, there are some additional options there, but nothing crazy at the moment. But I do have a feeling that Microsoft are going to continue expanding on the features that they have already, that they introduced with Windows 10. So I'm really quite excited to see what happens with Windows 11 and where the accessibility goes. If you are a ZoomText user at the moment and you're getting fed up of paying for, the upgrades every year, although they do have the subscription now, but it's definitely worth experimenting with the built-in accessibility. If you're worried about getting a new computer because you're not sure if you'll be able to access it visually or non-visually, well, there's a lot of stuff built in there which should allow you to do that.
Even if you use it long enough to get ZoomText installed. You know what I mean? If you use it to set up your computer and then use that magnifier tool to go download ZoomText, then great, it served its purpose.
Served its purpose, exactly. All right, with that being said, we have reached the end.
We have reached the end of the program.
Of the program.
Not the end of
not
just
the end
time.
of the world, or
no.
the end of Tech Talk Live altogether.
Yeah.
But yes, we have reached the end of our show today. So thank you everybody for joining us. It's been fun as usual, and I hope you'll join us in 2 weeks' time when we will, of course, be discussing something else.
It will be, yes. So that's a great question.
Thank you,
And
Corey.
it is,
of course,
today
it is, yes.
Thursday, and I'm not sure what I'm having for lunch, but Google's Lookout app.
Yes, of course.
We will be taking a look at the Google Lookout app.
Yeah, which will be interesting because we'll have to take a look at that.
Why would you? Hey, don't get behind the curtain here. We are experts in everything.
Of course.
Is it Android only? No, I'm just kidding.
So next time, Google Lookout. We'll see if that app's any good. I don't know if that'll last an hour or not. We'll have to see how we get on with that.
Yeah, we said that about today. And,
well, that's true. That is true. So join us 2 weeks' time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, same place for a review of the Google Lookout app. Don't forget that we do have a YouTube channel. Now, I know everybody probably already knows about this, but just in case you don't, it is at youtube.com/InFocusTechnology. And at the YouTube channel, we have these recordings as well as a bunch of other videos on various assistive technology devices. So please feel free to go check that out. And if you like the video, obviously give it a like and hit subscribe if you think you will enjoy further future content.
Yeah, even if you don't.
And even if you don't, just do it anyway, because we need the numbers, quite
That
frankly.
helps us.
And thank you, everybody, again. We very much look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
Bye, all.
Thanks for joining us for another Tech Talk Live. If you enjoyed Corey and Luke's antics, join us again in 2 weeks. To register, visit vision-forward.org/techtalklive.